Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Zenitsu, and you're listening to the Digi Talks podcast, the show that covers various topics from news to meta developments and everything in between for the fine folks who love the Digimon trading card game. Just as a quick reminder, I generally try to stream this live over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, usually around Tuesday nights, around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. But fear not for if you ever miss that, because it'll also be uploaded on the YouTube channel of Zenitsu as a YouTube video, and it'll also be on various podcasting platforms like Spotify for your viewing and listening pleasure. Please feel free to do that social media doobly-doo thing and leave that like, rating, follow, subscribe, whatever, depending on the platform that you're listening on. We really like to believe that it helps support the podcast, especially since we're over 100 episodes in at this point on this iteration, which is pretty neat. So, we got a lot on the docket. Today I am back with Jay Stewart, and, well, EX9 kind of just came out, and BT22 spoilers, as a result, just finished up. So, we're going to take this opportunity to talk about our thoughts on BT22 as the big major topic. But before we go into that, we have a little bit of news bits, some other personal stuff, and, the meta report and questions of the week. So if you ever want to have your question read on this podcast, feel free to type one down in the comments below, and we'll think about reading that. And if you are a YouTube channel member, then we're going to prioritize your comments over others for more obvious reasons. So with that, Jay Stewart, take it away with the question of the week.
Yeah, so this question of the week is going to be our thoughts about the brand new promo card that's going to be given out at the Digimon Card Fest 2025/2026. And this is going to be the option card Digital Gate Open. So this is a white option card for cost that literally states you can play it in any color, like no color requirements whatsoever. You can reveal the top 3 cards and add 1 Digimon card and 1 Tamer card among them to the hand. The rest have to go to the bottom of the deck, then place in the battle area. Your turn, during the main phase delay, you may play 1 Tamer card with the same color as any of your Digimon on the field from your hand, with the play cost reduced by 4. Keep in mind the option card is a 4 cost. And then security effect is you may play 1 Digimon card with the play cost 3 or less from your hand or trash without playing the play cost, then add this card to your hand.
I mean, it's a solid option. I'm not gonna lie. It's a very good generic staple. I think comparing it to some of the others that we got, like the memory boosts, the scrambles, and the trainings, it is correct. But the big thing on what makes at least the memory boosts fair for the most part is the fact that it costs a decent amount. So I think because of that, this is a good option, but it is not an overpowered option because it's not hyper efficient. Like, we also don't really get any huge benefits for a lot of decks banking a Tamer versus banking memory. So that's another big distinction point, is just like, this card really wants you to take advantage of Tamers with on-play effects, so that way you could get actual benefit from it, or cards that interact with Tamers entering the field. We do have a couple of those, so it's not like an overtly bad card. I think just from the fact that it's a super hyper generic consistency tool is a really good, like, this is actually a really good example of the poor get richer, but the rich don't get richer, because the good decks aren't even going to be playing this. This literally just looks like a card that's for the mid-grade to low-grade decks that have either specific niche strategies or are lacking specific tools in which this card is actually going to help with. At least that's how I'm reading into it. So what are your thoughts?
So one of the first things that I could think of is the fact that this card obviously reduces the play cost of your Tamer by 4. So obviously you want to get the most benefit of it, so you want to try to play a 4-cost Tamer. But one of the problems, though, is, I mean, unless it's like at the very early of the game, because most of the time most 4-cost Tamers most of the time they are just memory setters. So because this is during your main phase and not during the start of your turn or start of your main, what start of the breeding phase, whatever, you kind of miss out on like the whole memory gain from a tamer. So regardless if it's even the 3-cost tamers that even gain you a memory at the start of your turn, like it's kind of bad timing with that. So therefore, like to me, this card makes sense if you are using it with, at the very beginning of the duel. Because late game, I don't see necessarily a huge benefit from this. But like some tamers that, and like even with like a 3-cost tamer and everything, the gains memory, like you said, like the tamers that have on plays really benefit from that. And most of the time, those on play tamers, those are going to be like one that stands out to me instantly is Tommy from BT7, because his on play is obviously strip 3 sources. Another tamers that I could think of would be the whole crossheart cards and everything as well, being another one.
Yeah, I think like alternative use tamers where you actually could potentially use them immediately even without on play effects like Mimi would really be good. And I'm speaking like BT1 Mimi, where that way you
Yeah,
could just have a way to cheese the Mimi into play and then be able to use her main effects like immediately. I think like there's a lot of good case uses where this card actually is going to be good, but again, like I said earlier, it really feels like it's meant specifically for the lower tier decks more than the higher tier decks, because the higher tier decks are going to have ways to cheese out their tamers for free or just be way more efficient with some of their memory than some of the other decks. And this, so like, just as an example, the family decks, they will benefit from this card hugely. Like, this actually makes something like Wing Guardians way more hyper consistent because they didn't have a good way to set up the Davis Tamer other than just playing the Davis Tamer, which, I mean, granted, they're lucky enough to actually have a Tamer to play that helps with their consistency, but the fact that this also boosts that on top of it is really good. So, like, it just gives decks access at a fundamental tool that they were lacking compared to a lot of others when they don't have those tools. So, like, what's its face? The new card, the Negamon deck. This is a card that could actually see decent play in that style of deck because it could play a Tamer, and it's not incorrect for playing a Tamer. There's a bunch of different ones that it could play, but it doesn't have any good ways to set up its Tamers. So, like, not only is this helping with the deck's consistency, but it also can help set up a Tamer in a pivotal turn, banking that Tamer play, which is, again, for the good decks, they don't care about this. There's way more efficient things that they could be doing, but for the lesser decks, this is actually insane. I think, like you said, the best deck that competitively is going to take advantage of this is probably stuff like Shine, All
Imperial.
Force, Imperial. No, Imperial has way better tools that it could run. It's not bad in Imperial. It's just like you said with the memory fixers, you're going to be missing out on the ability to play out a Wormmon or Vmon off the Ken Davis from BT16. So I
Yeah,
think like I,
that's true.
yeah, I think like All Force is a better example where it has things like basically tamer heavy decks are going to benefit this, and decks that lack the ability to set up a tamer that also don't have a dedicated tamer but is using not like a dummy tamer but a filler tamer just to kind of flesh and round things out. I think like this is a really good card for. So word of advice, probably start buying up the BT3 Davises because this is probably one of the best cards to interact with that for a lot of blue/green decks. So I could see a deck like Examon running a card like this to help with its consistency and be able to set up that not Kenan Davis, that Davis for free or like banked in a sense. Like, yes, you could just use it to play the Tamer, but this also can help dig out the Tamer. So I think it's a really good card. The only unfortunate thing about the card is the short-term prospect of the fact that it's locked behind Bandai Card Fest, and we have no announcements at when this card is going to be available for the actual mass public. So that's my only worry, because Bandai does have a very well documented promo problem across every single one of their games. And yes, they do have a history of at least reprinting the Cardfest cards, because we had the All Force Digimon Liberator, or not All Force, Imperial Dramon Ace. That was one that was reprinted in a demo deck, and then reprinted in a Bandai Premium product. We had the Liberator card that was reprinted in an LM set.
It was also Digimon
Yeah,
Liberator.
it was
I
reprinted.
think that was also Store Tournament as well, I think.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
It was reprinted a couple of times in a couple of places, even though that card is significantly worse than what Digital Gate Open is. But the point is, they have reprinted them. It's just we don't know when, and we don't know where, and we don't know if this card's actually going to be accessible, because going back to the whole Digimon Liberator card, at that same event, we also got the Liberator promos, which, if anyone has been paying attention to some of those promos, they're very hard to get. Some of them did get reprinted, but some of them did not. And the fact that some of them didn't get reprinted, at least for English, is a very big deal. Go look at Orisa for that one, if anyone wants a good example of why is this card over $100.
Yeah, because I know they also there was a promo for the new Digimon Time Stranger. The I can't think what that Digimon's name is. The yellow level 3 and everything. At first it was announced to be with the whole buying the Ultimate and Collector's editions of the games. But we also now know that Digimon is also going to get printed in the Store Tournament. So the Digital Gate Open could easily become a box topper as well, because to me it does kind of feel like a staple, like the training cards and everything, and the memories and the scrambles as well.
Yeah, so I was wrong. I'm fact-checking myself. Arisa's a $50 tamer right now. Very few listings. She was reprinted in a product that we didn't get in the US. So, sucks for us, I guess. But that aside, it's a good card. It'll help a lot of decks. I think competitively, like I said, decks that are centered around tamers this is going to be huge for. But it looks like a very good card that I hope is accessible. I really hope Bandai doesn't screw the pooch on this like they have in the past.
Yeah, I don't think they. Like I said, to me, it's too stapley card vibe to where it feels like there's no way they don't mass produce this and everything. Even just the fact that it sounds like a good card, and that potentially down the road it could potentially get abused by something that we don't know of at this time. This just seems like there's no way Bandai does not try to market this card out, if we're already talking about the possibilities with this card.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some of the other delay option staples that I mentioned, they've already gotten decent reprints. Using decent loosely, because I honestly don't think those cards should have existed outside of memory boosts. But this, so to me, this is a good card and a good staple, because it feels like it's solving a problem that isn't necessarily overtly power creeping the game, unlike Scramble and Training. This gives very familiar vibes of more of the memory boost variety, where I actually think this is a good card for the game, because not every deck does want it, not every deck does need it, but it does help a lot of decks that are currently struggling. Is it going to fix their issues? No, but it definitely is a good card to help alleviate some of their issues. So we'll see how good this card actually is, and where this card shows up, and what's going to break this card in half. But we first have to get it, and if you want it first and early, go to Bandai Card Fest. Apparently, so kind of transitioning to some news bits, apparently we actually are getting last chance qualifiers for nationals, so that's kind of neat.
Where are
I
they held at?
definitely it's held at nationals.
Okay.
So you still have to travel to nationals to see if you're able to compete in nationals. So on like that information came from the Facebook page. So I saw that there was actually last chance qualifiers, and I was just like, "Whoa, what?" So to me, the fact that they're actually doing last chance qualifiers is a very good thing, but it also is highlighting the lack of events and the possible lack of participation because of the lack of events. So this is a really good way to incentivize players to come out, go to nationals, and like try to get into nationals. And even if you don't, they're going to host a slew of different side events, so that way they at least are going to try to make your trip worthwhile if you don't actually make it in through the last chance qualifiers. So but I still think they should do that on top of just having a better event structure for competitive play for the competitive season, because so far this year has been, in my perspective, one of the worst in terms of how limited events have been, and just yeah, the amount of events, like they it feels like for every one step forward, they don't take two steps back, but they just take one step back. So it doesn't really feel like they're making any grounds to make competitive Digimon better, but like they keep trying. So I'll at least give them the benefit of the doubt, and like, hey, they understood that this probably isn't enough events for what a nationals turnout generally looks like, and this is a way to try to boost that and have more people have the chance to be able to play at the national level, because remember, we get two nationals.
Yeah. So I'm also kind of curious about like the fact that are the numbers also fluctuated because the fact that like, obviously we were already informed that if you got your invite for wave one, you had the choice to either go to the wave one regionals or you could save it to do the wave two regionals. So I don't know if maybe that's what kind of helped fluctuate that maybe a bunch of people kind of got their invite for this wave one regionals a little too late and they're like, ooh, I kind of want to take this opportunity to save money, or ooh, I don't have the funds to like buy a bunch of sets to, for the new set that comes out when this event happens. So I don't know if maybe that's a factor that kind of decided like maybe the number of open spots, so to say.
I just think it's a smaller turnout than what Bandai actually figured from just a basic numbers perspective. And that they were just like, and we have to have two nationals. So if like there probably is enough for one nationals like we normally do, because there's like, hold on, I'm just gonna do some quick numbers. We had at least 40, I'll just round it up to 50 store regionals. Let's just say half of those had two invites, the other half had four. So I guess I should have opened up a calculator for this. How unprepared. Um, so let's go 25 times 2. That's 50. Then 25 times 4. That's 100. So that's already 150 invites for 308, basically a 400 person event. Um, and then, so that's all for store regionals. So store regionals made up probably more than half of it. And then if we actually look at like the competitive season, we had, let's just say, an average of 2 per month. So April, May, June. So 3 months. So 3 times 2, so 3 months. So 3 times 16. So that's about another 50-ish people. Because I'm averaging 2 events per month and then 16 people per that. So we're looking at around 200 people that are able to go to the first nationals that have an invite. That's not good. Like, that's not good numbers.
Yeah, because like before they decided to split the regionals in half, it was like what they expect. they want to have like 900 players, give or take. Is that correct? So if like they
Um,
split it in half, that means they're expecting give or take 450 at each regionals.
I don't exactly know what they're expecting, to be honest. But invite wise, if just doing some very simplified rounding, and even if let's just say we round up to 250, that's still not anywhere near a capped event. Like that's at least 100 slots that they could fill very easily, which is probably why they decided to do the last chance qualifiers, because there simply was not enough opportunities for people to actually get invites to go to wave 1 for their national event. So that's partially why I think like not super highly of this competitive season, is because like just the numbers didn't seem to make sense from the get-go in terms of like actually being able to support it. So I'm really glad that they decided to do last chance qualifiers, because let's just say if I really wanted to, I could fly out to Texas, um, do all of the pre-registration stuff that I need to do, and try to compete in the last chance qualifiers to get my nationals invite that way. I don't know if you could bank your invite, or if you're just forced to use it because you're already there. I mean, it would make sense to just force them to use it because they're already there, and then.
Yeah, same.
But who knows? Maybe you would have the ability to bank it. There's nothing saying that you can't, but I think the whole point of it is to fill up the event. So I don't think
Yeah,
they'll let you.
I would imagine like it's like if you probably earn the invite, it's most definitely my opinion. It has to be like, look, you're already here. The tournament's tomorrow. You might as well be here, kind of thing. It's how I would imagine it. Plus, it's like, why would we have like a big giant thing for the future one when we could wait to see if we might need to do this again, chance qualifiers for that one.
Yeah, so just be glued to Bandai's social media for more information on Last Chance qualifiers, or to read it yourself. So that way you could be as informed if you want to make the attempt at it. I think, like, based on my experience with nationals, they're usually pretty fun. So even if you don't necessarily want to compete at the national level, like I said, they're going to have plenty of side events and other things, because they treat it like it's Bandai Card Fest. Like, yes, it's our nationals, but it's Bandai Card Fest. They try to do a good job making it like a mini convention.
Yeah, because I know the players in my area that have gone to Nats the past couple of years, like even if they don't have fun at the tournament, they're always enjoying the crowd. They're always enjoying like the events and the announcements and everything. Because like what was it, 2 years ago, the Nats they announced Liberators, and I'm pretty sure you guys also got like promo cards for Liberators at that time as well, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
then obviously there was the Digimon O2 movie, and I think you guys also got the Imperial Dragon Mode Ace as well for that.
Yeah, we got a couple of movie cards, so that was like their first release of those before they were in theaters.
Yeah, so like obviously some kind of like exciting stuff does happen at there if you're not even there for the regional, or not having any luck, I guess, so to say, with the regional.
Yeah, and they could, like, if they really wanted to, just like with Anime Expo, they could have Elysium demos at the very least set up, so that
I
way, it's not confirmed, but they could if they really wanted to, because they already have the setup for it to be at a convention. So I don't think it would be that hard to just move it from one convention center to another.
Yeah, plus I think there's also supposed to be demos of the Time Stranger game as well, if I remember reading that correctly for the Card Fest.
I think I know that's Anime Expo. I don't know if they're gonna do that
Or
for
Anime Expo.
Cardfest. Yeah, at Anime Expo they are gonna have playable demos of Time Strangers, which is going to again be our BT24. So that's when I'm expecting the promo for Time Strangers to get reprinted. Is it might be the box topper for BT24. It's just it will probably have maybe different art, maybe. Because I'm just thinking of the Pulsemon situation. Except Pulsemon wasn't a box topper; it was a pre-release promo, and then they just handed that card out like candy eventually. But that
Yeah,
was
because I think
one of the earlier examples of a poor Bandai promo problem.
yeah, because I think like the promo of the Time Stranger guy, I really wish I remember what his name is. Like, because the one that they announced for the store tournament, it's kind of looks like the whole oh Jesus, why can't I think what that other Digimon game is? Uh,
New Next Order,
no, not Next Order. It's the one with the
Survive.
uh Survive. Yeah, it so the one that the photos for the store tournament look like the ones kind of similar to Survive, while the one for the whole video game release and everything from the Ultimate and Collector's Edition is like this gold, holy looking kind of card.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll know more when we get closer to that, but that's all just speculation. So cool stuff on the horizon. Speaking of on the horizon, while we're on the topic of news, we did get new information from GTS. That's usually where we go to look at not really spoilers, but just general information. So when it comes to Time Strangers, there's 4 selling bulletin points given to us from Bandai. Uh, the first one is it's going to include characters from the Time Strangers game. I know, shocker, a Time Stranger set featuring Time Strangers characters. So you'll be able to make decks featured around those, and it's going to have Dan, Yuki, um, Kana Yuki, which I'm guessing that's the protagonist's name, and Nori, and Agiomon. So that's the card.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, they just listed a couple of characters that are most likely going to be Time Strangers, Tamers, and then the Time Stranger Digimon himself. Then the second bullet point is it's going to include Olympus 12 cards. So Olympus 12, you could play an important role in Time Strangers. So the lineup will have powerful Digimon, such as the leader of Central Town, Mikurimon. So Olympus 12 confirmed, getting support. Maybe it's going to be a real deck. I don't know. The third selling point is Time Stranger's trait. So I guess that feeds into the first bullet point. And then the last bullet point is more Liberators and Atmon. So it's going to this set specifically is going to feature Owen, Dreadnought, and Elizamon getting their power-ups. And then it's also going to be about Ray and Hackmon. So if any of you have not watched the anime for Atmon, now's a good time to go do it so you can understand those 2 characters. And I'm kind of hyped, not gonna lie. I really like what they've been doing with Atmons. Granted, each Atmon literally feels like its own deck as of right now. So maybe there's going to be something to allow us to shake things up a little bit more outside of just the generic link mechanic to be able to say, okay, I won't be able to app fuse, but I could still use this ability that's really good for the meta. So, like, maybe Atmons with enough tools will be able to evolve into that state, which then gives them incredible amounts of flexibility, and you're just going to be picking which engine you're going to want to run when it comes to what Atmon your deck is actually going to be about. So maybe that's the angle that they're trying to take it in, and we just don't have enough apps to actually make that assessment.
Yeah. I am kind of curious though to know if like there's going to be like a special ruling or maybe even a name change for that, because I mean Huckmon for us is, the Jessmon line and everything. So I
Well,
don't know
they
if they
changed Huckmon back to being Huckmon because of Hackmon. It's the same reason why they changed Lydramon instead of
it's
Raidramon.
Hack.
Yes.
Sorry,
So
I misread that. That's my bad.
yeah, no, like it's the same reason why they changed Lydramon from Raidramon, because there is already a Japanese Raidramon. So it doesn't make sense for them to have the same Digimon name for two different Digimon. So that's why they changed Lydramon back to Lydramon for us. Is literally because of this type of thing. So Huckmon and Hackmon were in that same contention. But as far as special cards, we have the set breakdown. It's going to have 4 SPs, 2 secrets, 12 supers. That seems to be the going right now is 12, which was boosted from 10. Just keep that in mind. So super rares are still supposedly harder to get. I don't necessarily think it made that big of an impact. Actually, it kind of did, because you'll have like the good supers be like way extra expensive because they actually are harder to pull. So I guess that did make a difference. But the rares, commons, and uncommons is all the same with 106 new cards. So that is BT24 information that we have. Does it say the release date? Yes, the release date is January 26th. So stores, just to put things into perspective on why some of my thoughts are the way they are, I'll even show this on stream. Stores have 28 days, so a full month as of right now, to pre-order this set. So they are pre-ordering.
They're nowhere close to revealing anything from this set.
Correct. We know, outside of the themes and the selling points, we know absolutely nothing about the set, which is like, it's fine. Stores are buying blind. But because they're putting this order this far in advance, it really puts a certain level of stress and strain on the game when sets perform poorly. So I just wanted to highlight that, because with EX9 not being a very high performing set, it does make things a little bit more complicated when a set doesn't do well. And like, sure, not every set is going to be an absolute winner or banger. At least this is why it causes a lot of stress and strain on the stores, is because they have to buy in to something that's not going to be a guaranteed success. And stores really like guarantee successes. They don't like taking unnecessary risks, which is why, like, from a macro card level perspective, I know I'm getting a little too ahead of myself here. This is why dealing with mixed IP games is very dangerous, is because if you have a bad IP and that set starts tanking, then that's going to hurt a lot of store trust and consumer confidence. So this is generally why we want to avoid having a bad set, is so that way, like, at least it doesn't hurt the stores as much. I mean, granted, my store is just a small sample size, saying that because of this set, and some of the previous history with their experience with Bandai, that's why they're scaling back to basically the level in which they order Union Arena, which is, again, why I bring up the whole mixed IP thing.
Yeah, no, I know my store definitely was kind of affected by that too, because honestly, because of the sales of BT15 and also RB01, they also did not order anything for EX6 or BT16 for that matter. But I do have one question though, and I don't think these normally show up on there, but there's no way of knowing if there is a box topper with this through GTS. Is that correct?
Sometimes they'll advertise that there's a box topper. Usually that'll be like a big selling point, so they're not specifically stating that there is. It could always be added later, but yes, it does not appear that there is a box topper.
Okay. Yeah, because I would imagine, like, if it could advertise that there's 2 box toppers and everything, like how BT14 was, I feel like that would be a little bit more incentive to help encourage the stores, like, hey, there's going to be promos in here that your players may want to get the set just for, or something. Or it's a nice little sweet add-on for players to encourage them to buy the booster box, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, that those always help. I mean, it's just unfortunate that EX9, while it is a good flavor win, I'm not going to try harping on it too much, because we do have the Digital Monster Day to talk about while we're on the topic of EX9, not BT9, EX9. So yeah, like box toppers will generally always help as long as they're like halfway decent box toppers and not like garbage box toppers. Sorry, EX9. Um, but yeah, like they do try to advertise box toppers, and the more box toppers, it does make for a better selling point. So if this set, like if EX9 had good box toppers, I think it wouldn't necessarily save the set, but it would lessen the impact and it would make people want to buy it a little bit more.
Less damage control kind of situation.
Right. And like again, I'm just stating it's fine to have fanfare sets that are of lower power level. I'm not saying that's not a good thing, but it can't be so far below the average that it doesn't necessarily drive sales. So, but speaking of driving sales, Digital Monster Day happened. I unfortunately was unable to participate in a sealed event this time because work decided otherwise. They told me I'm going to have to work on a Sunday. I'm working 11 days straight because 4th of July is actually the first time I'm getting a break in the past 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's always fun and exciting. I was a little pissed, but funny story though. So I message on Friday when my work informs me, hey, you're working Sunday, so don't plan anything. I obviously am pissed because I was planning on going to this event. So I message one of my local peeps and I'm just like, hey, I'm not going to be there on Sunday. He's like, cool, that's fine. I get a text at, I kid you not, 4:30 in the morning, about a half hour before I have to wake up to go to work. And it was my local peep's brother who also plays at the store. And he texts me, hey, apparently my company wants me to work Sunday too, so I won't be able to make it. And so I have no idea if the event even fired because of that, and like maybe because other people saw that because it was in our Discord, they might have checked out. I have no idea. I'll know more on hopefully Sunday, but I just found it highly ironic that he texts me that he's not able to make it either because of work. I just found that to be funny. Like not good funny, but ironic funny. So, were you able to participate in your Digital Monster Day, Jay Stewart?
Yeah, so my Digital Monster Day happened on the actual Digital Monster Day, the 26th. And I was able to go to my locals. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like my store actually got the kit, so to say, to actually get give out the promo Agumon and everything. And even when my store actually asked the players, like, hey, do you want to do the sealed event? A bunch of the players just said, no, we'd kind of rather just play normal format as is. Like, if you have the EX9 cards, go for it kind of situation. And we had 7 people in my locals, and I got second place from it. And I actually was playing the Chronicles deck because 26, it was my birthday. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to play my favorite archetype, Alphamon. And unfortunately, I didn't actually update my deck to include the promo Dorimons. So I kind of was holding myself somewhat back. And we played 3 rounds. First round, I had the bye. Second round, I played against a newer player. And he actually was kind of trying to use the newer EX9 cards with not BT4, EX04 Omnimon Alter S cards. And it was somewhat working for him, but I'm not sure if it's just because, he's a new player, so it's possible he might not have just kind of built the deck, so to say, in a effective matter, so to say. Or also just him not having access to a lot of the cards as well. But then, during the second game, he kind of asked if he could switch the decks and everything around to play a different deck, and I said, hey, I got no problem with it. This is locals. We're just playing for fun kind of situation. And he decided to try out Crossheart and everything. he had a little bit more success with that, but I still ended up beating him. Now, when it came to the final round, I played against Magnamon Armor. This is just no DNA. It's just blue Magnamon Armor deck is what I got. No point did I see my opponent throw down Imperial Dramon or anything like that. And game one I got because he actually just bricked on Magnamons. Funny enough, 4 of his 5 security were Magnamons, 2 being the security, and I had no problem getting through those. Game 2, I kind of stalled him out, as he said, because I kept evoing into Greymon 3 turns in a row, and just because I was unaffected by Digimon effects, kind of messed with his whole game plan. But finally, when I stopped evoing to Greymon, he finally threw down a Medieval Gallimon from EX8 and kind of took the game back. But I kind of messed up too. I shouldn't have played a Digimon that caused Medieval to trigger his effect. So, and game 3 just kind of, it was somewhat back and forth, but he eventually got into the whole Magnamon X and then did the Jesmon GX shenanigans. But yeah, that's how the locals went for me.
Okay. Doesn't sound too bad, but I do think it's interesting that your local players just said, no, we're not actually interested in playing sealed. I know Digimon's sealed experience is very hit and miss, most time miss, because Digimon is not designed for that type of environment. I think the rule set that we have for it is really good. So props on Bandai for figuring that one out. But the set design is so not there to really support a good conducive experience. I mean, granted, some of it is just janky fun, but I think this set more specifically, at least from like the murmurs that I heard across the internet, was a lot more divisive than others because when I was making my limited video, I intentionally cut out the sections where I talk about like each card fitting into, not like each and every card, but broad termed categories and then showing off examples, just because a lot of what I would be talking about is in the higher rarities, and I generally cut that on purpose because you're not likely to see those. So it, like, this event literally did boil down to who pulled the better rares and super rares, because almost every rare in the set is a level 5 or like seldomly a level 6, and every super rare is a level 6 or level 5. So you literally had your entire top end locked behind the higher rarities, which again, when it comes to deck building, made things a lot more awkward, on top of the fact that, like, as we kind of harped on before, the set is very weak, and by that we mean a lot of the cards just do not have win conditions or are not win conditions. So it just made the format a lot slower and added extra awkwardness and extra pull variance, which might not have led to the best experience. But feel free to tell us what your Digital Monster Day was down in the comments below as well. I'm curious to know what your thoughts about that are. So, moving away from Digital Monster Day, before we get into the actual topic, because, man, there's actually a lot that was going on recently. We do have metadata to look at. Yay! So, as far as the metadata that we have, Bandai, we don't have the metadata for it yet, but Bandai at least gave us the top 2 decks for the Oceania regionals. So we at least know what won and what came in second. So as far as the Oceania regionals, the first place deck was a Cross Hearts deck, or not Cross Hearts, Adventure deck, and it's very similar to Huang's Adventure deck, with the big differences being they're leveraging Ukomon as another good generic searching tool. They're using Tentomon as their primary floodgate, no secondary floodgate. And then the other big difference is they are running Puppet Ace as a supporting Ace Digimon instead of, you know, just focusing on either one of the adventure aces. So I think that's kind of interesting. It makes sense because you do have Lilymon, Metal Greymon, and Mega Kabuterimon to be able to ace into Puppet Ace with, and you just won't be able to search it out at all. So that's probably why the Palmon, I mean, Huang was also running Palmon, but that's why, like, Palmon helps, and it looks like they're running, instead of the Gato, at least one Tamer setter to be able to help hard play your Tamer, which I don't think is incorrect after playing Huang's build myself. The Gato slot is kind of just whatever. I also do like the idea of the extra ace, so running 5 aces, because like this is an ace bait deck. Like if I had to boil down what Adventures is, it's ace bait. At least this iteration of it, because you're just trying to use the option to keep your level 5s around, and then your level 5s are going to disrupt the opponent, on top of the fact that now they also have to worry about an ace, which when I was playing the deck, I noticed I very clearly did not have enough aces. So that was one thing that I took mental note of, is I need more aces. And the other thing is the Tamer setups sometimes is a little bit harder, and Gato, while it is cute, sometimes doesn't do enough. So that's why I'm okay with the Kabuteri edition. But yeah, so that's what won Oceania. And then as far as what came in second, we have, I can't even call it Megidramon. I guess the only thing, people are just calling it Growl X Loop, and I think that's probably correct, because it's literally just the Megidra engine, just changing out the level 5s and level 6s, and their level 6s that they're focusing on is actually just Gallant's top end. So they're just like, well, hold on, if Megidramon's already kind of just cracked, why don't I just play better top end stuff? So you still have all of the same Megidra combo shenanigans, just without a dying body, and instead you're just trying to leverage Gallantmon X Antibody to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But you still could do a lot of the same type of things, where get up into a Gallantmon with 13k DP, then hard play the Gallantmon promo to delete your big Gallantmon, and then that's what's going to allow you to trigger all of the on-deletes of all of your inheritables. So, cool innovation there. There's probably more possibilities to explore with this engine, as we saw with Birds kind of using it. So, I think, like, literally because of the way that it's built, any generically good red or purple low end that can either kill itself or support, like, just good generic boss monsters is probably going to do pretty okay with this build. It does want to obviously be deleted, so I think like the promo Gallant is like a staple for this iteration. But yeah, so that's what got first and second in Oceania. And then we do have the English, the last US regional, which is the Play TCG regional. So I'm just going to go over this really quickly, because honestly, the meta is not changing. As I already kind of explained last week in depth on where the direction of the meta is and what the meta is, for the most part, that's it. We're seeing minor fluctuations here or there, but the meta is what it is. So as far as the top 16 archetype breakdown, we have 5 Royal Knights, 2 Purple Hybrids, 2 Phoenix Mons, which are actually JK Growloop, 1 Gallantmon, that's JK Growloop, as we just saw with the Oceania. 1 Adventures, 1 Domini, 1 Zephica, 1 Magna X, 1 Sequoia X, and 1 actual true mono red Gallant X. So I think the only deck that I'm going to take a look at is Zephica, because that's something that is actually really wild. At least the way this player built their deck, because they built like a really old archetype, which is the free Evo on Jagamon and Mame Tyrannomon, or Mame Trimon. So we called it Green Gotcha back in the day, and this is basically just a revived version of Green Gotcha, which to me is wild. Like, Green Gotcha in, what, 2025? Using
Yeah,
Zeffica
because
top end is crazy.
I think the last time Green Gotcha was good was like BT6/7, I think.
No, people played
Maybe 8
it.
pushing it.
People played it all the way up to at least BT like 8 or 9. I could swear people played it in BT9, because they were trying different things with green because Grandis was a thing. Um, but yeah, so like it's just trying to be tempo efficient, utilizing the all the memory gain options and memory cheating options. It's got the Shotos for extra utility when you use your Zephicas, because that's the only thing these cards care about. And it has a card to set up its Shotos. Then it's got a floodgate to try to lock out certain plays, leveraging security attack plus to try to at least let your megas deal more damage. And then yeah, they're actually running the old Chaosmon that kind of is actually a low-key secretly decent card. It's not objectively bad because it's basically pseudo blitz with piercing. So that's just good. And yeah, they're using the starter deck Zeffica as the main Zeffica because, that's the one that actually has the protection. The damage and removal is nice on the other one, but having the protection to sustain yourself is arguably better, especially since they have security attack plus on an inheritable. Um, then Zeffica Ace, obviously, for Zeffica, or if you green gotcha, then you could still uh, mitigate the high Digivolution cost because these are Digivolving into it for free, which you could use the Tortamon to set up. So, yeah, it's overall just a pretty cute deck. Didn't expect to see that, and nice that it still can exist. I don't know what other top ends you could possibly play with, like this little core engine. So, but it looks clean, looks fun. Yeah. Oh, and I guess I should mention what won the event. It was Purple Hybrids and Gallantmon, which is the Growl Loop, which is exactly what I highlighted before. Except this version is using Arrestrogermon Superior Mode as a supporting level 6 Digimon, or level 5 Digimon, because it's in the same colors, and Raiden Piercing, shocker, is good. Um, so yeah, that is that deck is growing in popularity. Uh, Outside of that, everything else is pretty well known, I believe. So that's it for the meta report, and now we could actually look at BT22 and kind of start giving our thoughts and opinions on it. So, I know you're a little bit more passionate about the set than I am, Jay Stewart. I mean, yes, I did finish Cyber Sleuth. I didn't finish Hacker's Memories yet, working on that, but you're a little bit more passionate about that than I am.
Yeah, it's more of like just a love for the game and everything. It's what it is. Because I mean, honestly, I personally do strongly believe, and I don't think anybody really is going to argue it, but I really do think that Cyber Sleuth is kind of what helped bring the revival of Digimon, so to say. And I
Okay.
know it's definitely a set that a lot of people have been kind of wanting for a while, especially when back in BT5 when it first kind of did some minor subtle support, I guess, or hints, I guess you could say. Like BT5, not only was it just the Omnimon set, but like I remember people talking about the Diaboromons and all the other stuff as well from it, like all the Cyber Sleuth cards.
Okay. Cyber Sleuth seems really interesting of a deck. Like, I think I the deck to me seems a little all over the place for my personal taste, but maybe there's something there that's actually going to like unify everything a little bit more than I'm just going to try to get up into Omnimon. That's what the deck feels like, is you just play a hodgepodge of Cyber Sleuth cards. At least, like, there's two different ways to play it. There's, like, the Eaters build, and then there's the actual Cyber Sleuth build. So, yeah, I thought there was going to be more Eaters in the set, to be honest. I know you said, like, they probably were going to hold off on some, because I think, last time we talked about it, we were missing 4 different Eaters?
I think so. I mean, I could quickly Google it just to confirm, but I know based on playing Hacker's Memory that there is other Eaters forms and everything, but as far as like the deck itself, I mean, so far I don't think it has an end game for the actual deck, because from what I remember from Cyber Sleuth, the Mother Eater was the kind of the big boss, like the big thing at the end of the game.
Yeah, I remember that.
And like so far, like they just made Mother Eater kind of like a whole what's sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Like they made Mother Eater just another version of a King Drasail and everything. But, like there's no like even with like a Mother Reaper from God, I can't even think what that is. D Reapers. Like even that one has an end game where it's like you strip all the sources to play out a guy that can multi-attack a crazy amount of times. So far, I don't think there is one for this.
The gimmick is all of your so like you get your Mother Eaters out into the battle area, and then all your Mother Eaters are going to be 16Ks, and they have an on play to delete an opponent's Digimon. So like they're trying to be a control tool that the deck just cheeses in and controls the field while having a big beater. Like I don't, like you said, I don't necessarily, it doesn't read win condition to me. Like at least with Negamon, the Albedo Core was a very obvious win condition. This just doesn't exactly scream win condition.
Yeah, I think another thing too is like we don't have Arata Eater form at all. We have his Eater Atom, but that's it.
Oh, please don't tell me they're going to do that as a promo. I swear, if Bandai decides to do this as like a store promo, sure, fine, whatever. But like that feels like what the direction Bandai wants to take it in, is like have this be a store promo card for at least one of the things that we're missing for the deck. I
Yeah,
hate it when they do that, to be honest.
yeah, and the other thing is there is 3 other Eater forms that we are missing. Eater Bit, Eater Legion, and then Eater Eden. Those last 3 that I mentioned, I know for a fact they are in Hacker's Memory, because I don't remember the old girl's name with the memory problems, but I specifically remember she created the Eater Bits, and that Eater Eden is practically the Eater form that is what consumes her memories from Eden and everything. As far as Eater Legion, I don't remember where that one is from. At what
It,
point in the game?
yeah, so either Errata might be a promo for store event, or they might just be holding it back for the next set just to give Eaters its second wave of support all at once, which I think would be a little bit silly, but it feels like, based on Bandai's trends, that's probably, like with Tweetmon. Tweetmon was a promo for a store tournament event. Like, they have the upgrades to the decks that they just released as stored promos, and I get why they're doing that, because then it drives more interest in getting those promos to finish those decks. So, like, I'm not, like, in complete disparage of that idea. It just feels silly when they could just have it in the set. But
Yeah.
and
I
I would
also
rather
think
have
that,
good reprints as promos.
yeah, and the fact that the Mother Eater is not the win condition for this deck, I'm thinking they're going to make Eater Eden the win condition for the deck then, if I'm not mistaken, because Eater Eden is like kind of the big whole end game of that one, and if I remember correctly from the story, Eater Eden was kind of threatening to destroy the whole cyberspace aspect.
Yeah, maybe that's gonna be their game plan is like you start investing into it now, you'll get Eater Errata as a promo, and then when the Cyber Sleuth cards come out or for Hackers Memories, that's gonna be the big apex cap on it. Whether it's gonna be like insane or just okay is to be determined. We don't have 22 spoilers, or not 22, 23 spoilers, because I believe EX10 comes before that, so yeah. But Eaters without its win con still seems like an interesting deck. It feels more chip shot control. Like, I'm just gonna get some licks in while I can, and then try to figure out a way to control you towards the end game. It's got 3 tamers that it's trying to, or 4 tamers it's trying to leverage. It's trying to leverage Yuko. It's trying to leverage Arata. It's trying to leverage Yugo. And the last one is Akemi. So it's got plenty of tools to be a real deck. It just needs to actually find its win con. Oh, and then they also have Cyberspace Eden that can play with it very nicely as well. So like there is enough there for it. And inversely, there's enough for a good Cyber Sleuth deck. I don't know if the Alphamon is going to be one of the end goals because of the Kyoko Tamer. And then you also have the Sayo Tamer that also is trying to do her own thing. I think, like, obviously there's room for, like, a Cyber Sleuth deck to exist between those two, as well as, like, the protagonists. I think Ulforce probably is just better off being his own thing. No offense, Rena, but you definitely are screaming, I'm going to support Ulforce, and then just so happen to have the Cyber Sleuth tag. But maybe they could use Ulforce inside of it to get to Omnimon. Who knows? Who actually knows?
Yeah, because when I was like looking at the Nokia cards, like, I mean, to me it sounds like it's almost an easy, like, taking the, what was it, BT17 Omnimon or BT20 was it?
Yeah,
No,
it's BT17. Yeah, it's like she's a really good new tamer for like the BT17 shell because she also comes with her own set of, like, her package is literally Omnimon, then a new Agu and Wargrey, and new Gabu and Metal Guru. So like that's her entire package. There is nothing else to her, which is why I feel like a lot of these Cyber Sleuth cards, they're trying to do 2 things, which is one, support the Cyber Sleuth trait, so you could piece together a possible Cyber Sleuth deck with all of the support. And then they also are trying to support currently existing decks, because you have Yuko supporting Greymon, more specifically like Gaiomon, because she comes with a new Gaiomon. You have Arata supporting Diaboromon. You have Nokia supporting Omnimon. So like each one has their own thing that they're trying to support. You have Jimmy supporting Flames, which is now finally a deck. Mirai with Mastimon. Ray seems interesting. I don't know if you'd play Ray with Kyoko to like have this weird warp flower play that you can think about between the Lord Knight and the Alphamon.
Yeah, I feel like Ray might actually personally be way better in like a whole Nightmon deck theme in itself. It's like back in what was it? When because like I'm trying to
It's
think when that was.
BT18. Yeah, it feels like it would
Yeah,
support.
BT18 Nightmon.
Yeah. Because what does the
Like
Nightmon do? The Nightmon raid reboot, which is fine. When Digivolving, give a Digimon plus 3000, then it can attack a player. Again, fine, because it's supposed to be expensive Digivolving on top of a Tamer. And then all turns, Digimon. Oh, you get to reveal the top 3 cards and play a level 4 or lower red or black Digimon card. Yeah, so it seems like she would fit well in a Black Lord Nightmon build centered around the BT18 cards.
Yeah, and there's even a lot of older Nightmon cards too. Like, I'm because like I know there's like a Dark Nightmon that has an on play of Digivolving, so that could be some good counter interaction. Uh, as example, like there is some Nightmon cards that I kind of was looking at and was tempted to build back in a 2.0 at first, but ultimately decided not to. But
I
as
don't blame
far
you.
as yeah, as far as something else that kind of caught my eye though was the other secret rare that got revealed being the Sayo. Now, obviously, she does have the CS trait, but Sayo never made an appearance in Cyber Sleuth,
I think
so it
she
is
was
kind
like
of
a guest character towards the end, similar to
oh
Rena.
maybe she was
Yeah, because I know Rena in the end game is an alternative boss where you could fight her all force, and that fight is no joke. Like, it's actually pretty difficult. So I think, like, Sayo might be another, like, secret boss at the end of it. Because I know she, uh, with her Digimon being part of the Olympus 12, does do some dimensional shenanigans. So maybe she also was, like, delegated to a side quest. I don't remember. It's been years since I played Cyber Sleuth. Um,
yeah. Well, the reason this one particularly stands out to me is because, well, one, the World's deck that won was using the whole Nightclaw and
Lightfang.
Lightning, yeah, package and everything, and the whole Nightclaw line that they introduced in this, it doesn't honestly look too bad. And the fact that we're even getting more support that we kind of have somewhat confirmed at this point of BT24 being Olympus set, I'm curious to know how good is this tamer actually going to be?
Well, also we do have promo. Uh, I was gonna say Alphamon, but it's not an Alphamon. Apollomon. So we do have a promo Apollomon that's interacting specifically with other Olympus 12s. So maybe this is the push the deck needs to go back to its roots and actually consider using Grace Nova. So I think because Grace Nova is a very strong card. It's just the other alternative options on just using the deck for 100% cheese on a generic engine deck and just playing whatever level 6s you want, to me was like boring because there's so many other decks that just turbo into level 6s, and the fact that you're doing so much extra work for essentially the same payout, just a little bit faster, and a little bit more complicated was kind of silly to me. So maybe this is a good thing to actually change that deck, even though some of those cards are arguably kind of busted, not gonna lie. um so we'll see where these cards actually end up, because they're, like you said, they're actually pretty solid. And because of this, now you have 3 whole evolution lines, an additional level 3 and an additional level 4 that you could leverage. Like, obviously, because of this, the deck's going to lean heavier towards blue, but, like, if you're actually using the Light Claw Nightfang synergy the way it's supposed to, your colors just don't matter. But if you are still trying to cheese this, then maybe you're just going to forego the red cards and just play more blue, because now you have 2 blue level 5s. um, and then you could make all of your level 4s blue as well. So I don't know. It's gonna be wild to see what people are gonna come up with for Light Claw Nightfang, or how they're gonna use Saya, or Sayo in a Cyber Sleuth deck. Because the only
Yeah,
card that screams Cyber Sleuth like the deck is Aiba, Ami Aiba.
yeah, yeah. Because like, see, honestly, I want to. This is the one thing I somewhat disappointed about the Cyber Sleuth set is the fact that all these other cards have like that CS trait. Like, I understand, they kind of all work with the main character, but like, there's no reason for the Eaters to have like Cyber Sleuth traits, so to say. Like, to me, it's like I said, like there's different fractions. There's the I really wish I remembered all of them. I know like Jimmy, he's part of the demons. Yuko in I know he's like one of the other gangs, so to say. So and then like even the hacker's memory, there's the hoodie and everything that's in that one.
I think it's because similar to how Chronicles was kind of like done, they're not lumping it by their actual faction. They're lumping it by the franchise in which where they came from. So
Yeah,
that
to
way
me this
it can
feels more
potential.
adventure theme.
Yeah, so it probably is there to try to deepen the card pool in which they actually can work with. So that way there's more possibilities for these cards to be played. So like Jimmy, you could play in his flame deck, but you could also consider him as a CS card to play with CS depending on how you're going to be building it. So I'm not like necessarily against it because like we do have some Liberator support, and the Liberator support, nothing is. There's very few cards that are actually specifically interacting with the Liberator trait in of itself. It's more of just a label, but there are certain cards that do interact with the Liberator trait. But similar to like what we were saying with like Atmon, you could just make cards to generically support CS, and then that buffs everything under the CS umbrella, rather than, hey, I'm going to be making a specific faction deck and limiting what the players are going to do, even though some of the card designs, like Jimmy, very much heavily imply that you just want to play him inside of Flames, and he's better in Flames than in CS. But they give you the option, which is nice.
Yeah, I can understand that. Speaking of the whole Liberator cards, can we also talk about how the puppets finally got their level 7? And I know it was like fairy tale themed and everything, but I love how the level 7 is Puss in Boots.
Nya Bootmon is definitely a very strong card. It's honestly what would make me want to play puppets even more than Kaguyamon, because Kaguyamon already is an insanely cracked card, and now that we actually have like a good top end to go into, because this does have overclock, so you could do all of your shenanigans with Kaguyamon and then end into Nyabootmon and just win the game with him. Like, he's basically their Omni for game, in a sense. Like, he does a little bit more than Omni for game, and him being a puppet means that all of the inheritables do transfer over to him. But yeah, he's actually a pretty insanely good card.
Yeah, I also think he's like somewhat of a slightly lesser powered I think it's Slash Angemon from well, he's definitely more powerful than Slash Angemon, but like slightly less powered version of Shine Greymon Ruin mode, because of the fact that this guy could theoretically potentially target 2 Digimons on your opponent's side of the field for DP minus. And we already know there's like, yeah, there's some cards that kind of protect from DP minus, but there's not a lot, so to say.
No, so it's more of the fact that so like if anyone's hasn't caught up on the spoilers, what he does is he has an ability where he gets to play out a level 4 or lower puppet traded Digimon from your hand, so not from the trash. So he is a little bit fair and balanced in that aspect. I say a little bit because like Digimon has so much card draw where you're most likely going to have one. Um, and then one of the opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP until the end of their turn for each of our Digimon. So the fact that its secondary ability all turns when any of our Digimon is deleted, we get to activate his When Digivolving effect again, is kind of nuts. Like, it's actually legitimately crazy how good this card could be as a good removal tool.
Yeah, even just the fact that it is all turns. It's like if your opponent tries to do a rookie rush kind of early check or something, and the security check is not good and gets deleted, like that's something your opponent now has to actually consider too.
I think the bigger appeal is the fact that as long as you have the Orisa Tamer, it could Digivolve on top of a level 5 Digimon for a cost of 6. So, like, you do have a pseudo warp potential. So, this is almost doubling as a level 6 in that aspect. So, if you're ever, like, in a brick situation, the fact that it does have that alternative Digivolution condition can help unbrick you in certain situations and like actually be very good because of that. So like maybe that's why the ability feels the way it is when it comes to its wind digivolving effect, but like it's still crazy strong. Because
Yeah,
let's not forget the new level 5 gives it the same protections as Kaguya. Or like not Kaguya. The Kaguya is level 5. I don't know like if you're gonna run all Shapeiros or run a split. That's something that's gonna be experimented with, but just the new possibilities that Puppets has opened up to. It makes Puppets actually look very strong. Probably actually a meta contender deck. Like, is it going to be the deck? Probably not. But is it actually going to be something people aren't going to laugh at you about? Um, yeah, probably not. It looks like it's a real deck.
yeah,
I'm not saying
especially
it's
because
not real. Like, I'm not trying to say Puppets wasn't real before. It's just from competitive result standpoint, which is where a lot of my opinions are formed from, is like how well does this stack up in the grand scheme of the game? Um, Puppets has done not a whole lot. So the fact that this could give Puppets that boost while not feeling overtly overpowered, outside of maybe the protections from the level 5 and Kaguyamon, uh, definitely seems very good.
yeah, because I mean, we were already talking about how EX9, like Puppets, already seems like it gets a significant power boost just from that EX set alone. But I mean, obviously, I think the thing that holds like Puppets back from being a really good meta contender deck is the fact that there's already a better yellow deck, being the Sakuyamon. So if Bandai was to hit Sakuyamon before the advanced structure deck comes out, I mean, I think Puppets would be ready to go to take over Sakuyamon's spot in a heartbeat.
Yeah, either that or players are just going to default back to Angels, which, after looking at the event and the Angels players that I'm very well aware of that love playing Angels, 3 great Angels, like the deck sometimes is still too slow to where it can see more competitive success. Because I do think that deck is incredibly strong. It's just too slow, and I think this like what makes Puppets more appealing is it does have the speed to back up what it's trying to propose. And Puppet support's not even done here because they're probably going to eventually release a Syndrel Ace or something in the future. I could see that. The emblems, I think, are kind of cute. Uh, the fact that every option just needs to be a delay option is kind of annoying, especially when we have almost no delay hate, which we really start needing to do. Come on, Bandai, get on that. But they're not the only deck to get an emblem in a level 7, because we do have an Aquatic Liberator level 7, which I think is good. Probably not as good as, like, the deck as a whole. I think the level 7 is pretty decent, but I think the deck as a whole for Aqua Liberators isn't that strong. What does the level 7 do?
So it has a
Ariamon.
it
Yeah.
has decode with a level 6 or lower with the Aqua slash Sea Animals trait.
Yeah.
But it's when Digivolving is you can play one of each level. So you can play 1, 3, 4, and 5 level Aqua or Sea Animal in their traits from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the play cost. Then it has a Wind Digivolving when attacking once per turn. By placing one of your other Digimon as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck, and this Digimon unsuspends.
Okay,
So,
so that's the whole gimmick, is it's trying to be a big unsuspend deck where it's trying to line up not really an OTK, but like for all intents and purposes an OTK, because you could use this with let's just say the Seedramon cards, to be able to get some extra free unsuspends. So you could have jamming in your level 5, swing with your level 5, use the ability to oh no, never mind. Marine Bullmon's the problem. So if you're going off of a level 6, this works. So let's just say you go into you're in a level 6, you could swing with the card, Digivolve into level 7, spit out all the bodies, unsuspend. Because of the wind Digivolving. I guess it technically doesn't need, the Seedramon stuff, now that I'm thinking about it. Because the Seedramon stuff already split out. You would just play something... You'd probably play, what's its face? The level 5 where you get to eat something and unsuspend.
Is it the...
Zhukwai. It's,
yeah.
It's the level 5 of,
I think it's from EX 5 or 6, maybe?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. It's like using the Galaxy deck.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of decks. Just because eating up a blue Digimon on your field to unsuspend is actually pretty good. So you could use that in combination with this card to be able to try to line up like this hyper-aggressive, like multi-attacking blue deck, which is what blue wants to do anyway. So maybe that is the future, and I just have to acknowledge that. When it comes to like trying to find a good blue deck that I care about. Because, like, what are my options between that, All Force, and already what we're running, which is Imperial?
Is there any good aquatic / sea animals that have, like, a rush or something? Just out of curiosity? Because, like, I'm thinking about it.
The level 4 Seedramon has rush and natively. So, one of the Seedramons, you could just spit out, and then it's able to swing, and then it has the inheritable of jamming. So... that would be a card to use. So you could be like, evolve into a level 6, swing, eat something, unsuspend after already unsuspending. So like level 6 swing, evo into level 7, unsuspend. Swing, eat the level 3, unsuspend. Level 4, rush. Or, yeah, level 4, rush. And if you do, like, maybe X antibody shenanigans on top of that with Seedramon stuff, then you could give yourself jamming and then Digivolve into Metal Seedramon and then unsuspend. I think that's too much memory already, but, like, yeah, there's
even
some...
even the Marine Bullmon's inheritable list, you could play one level 4 or lower Digimon card with Aqua or Sea animals at the end of an attack. So, like, say if you were to do the whole rush, like say if you did the whole rush Seedramon, like you play it out from the level 7, swing with the rush Seedramon, level 7 swings, tucks Seedramon back under, unsuspends, swing again, Marine Bullmon's effect to play out that rush Seedramon. That's 4 checks right there.
Yeah, no, okay, I see it. So maybe you would play Marine Bullmon with that card. So there's possibilities is kind of what this all boils down to. I know we just spoke a lot of nonsense, but we're just trying to think out. I'm just trying to think out playlines on how to optimize this card based on the information that we have. I think it's a good card. Like, it just seems like classic blue, where I'm just gonna do unsuspend shenanigans and multi-attack and try to OTK the opponent. That's all it really reads to me as, which I'm fine with. Like, I mean, I'm not, because more OTK decks is exactly what we don't need. But in terms of bringing blue back to its core and actually having a good blue deck utilizing that core identity is fine. Then we already know All Force is in the set. All Force is going to be fine. He looks good.
Yeah, I think a viewer pointed out that there's never been in archetype jamming before, so this is All Force's first time having the jamming in archetype.
Yeah, and I think like just the fact that the new Rena bounces herself gives you potentially more tamers to play, on top of the fact that it's a Rena name. I don't think All Force Ace is terrible. I still think that the BT11 one is better, but like it gives you room to play with both, and then you also have X, like All Force X to play with. So it's just gonna be a good deck. Um, I'm curious to see what the innovations to it are gonna be with the new tools. Then what other decks? I think like the big one, like we're getting some random support. I will say. So like the fact that Gamma is getting some random support is weird. That's way out of left field.
I'm trying to see where Gamma is.
So you have a new Cost Gamma and a new Wizen Gamma. And then like we also get more DM support, which I know a lot of people aren't super happy at. Unfortunately, these new DM cards literally aren't fixing any of the issues with DMs. So like they're fine. That's all I can say is that they're just fine. Then we also have Tyrannomon support. So we get like Tyrannomon X cards, which I think is like again really random but fine. Like they seem pretty fun. Um, and Dinomon's actually not a bad deck. Very competent. Uh, and then the last thing that we haven't really been talking about is apps. So apps get basically a whole new deck centered around the new god, which is I'm blanking on his name. Where is it? That's Shin Manzemon.
It's like one of the first. It's right next to Sayo with the alt arts. It's Arinsomon? I think that's how it's pronounced.
If I just type in God, I'll find it.
62825.
It's Oranos. Yeah, Oranosmon.
Okay.
So, Oranosmon seems to be pretty interesting. I think this whole app line speaks to me a little bit more personally because it does just some decent shenanigans. Because this is a Appmon line that wants to play out Digimon by card effects, which the OG, based on the protagonist, was not doing. So, Haru was not playing out Digimon by card effects very often, and Asuka definitely is. I'm butcher. I don't want to butcher his first name, so I'll just call him by his last name. But Musimon, the Musimon line. So going over what that does, we have a new egg, which is just minus 2000 DP when linking, which is okay. It's a control egg, not terrible. Then, actually, maybe if I just search app. There we go. Then we have Effectmon, which allows us to delete 4Ks when linking, and then on play when digivolving, also deleting 4Ks while being a security level 4 Digimon. So not terrible there. We have MCmon, which is a new rookie that allows us to source strip. Pretty decent. And then it's a new searcher. So he's searching specifically for apps and entertainments or awakening. So that's interesting. Because not everything is an entertainment, but some things are. Then we got Musimon, which is allowing us to set up our tamer, similar to Searchmon or Gachamon. And then when linking, minus 2000 DP. It's not the premium version, it's the baby version where it's just for the turn. Then we got Mediamon, which allows us to play out level 3 Digimon, and then when we link, we get to play out a level 3 Digimon, and then on play when digivolving, just minus 4K. App fuse with Musi, Rekko, and MC. Did we get... Yeah, we did get Rekko, which is supposed to be the recording app. he is a good consistency tool because he's the classic discard draw 2, and then he gives blocker as as a link effect. Then we got Entermon, which has Alliance, so he's the aggressive level 5 Digimon that a lot of them are. Doing more playing Digimon by card effects, and minus 4,000 DP. This one is for each of your Digimon with Atmon, which is pretty good, because the more Digimon we have on our field, the more that he can DP reduce, which right now is actually pretty strong, because we don't have a lot of good DP reducers that are efficient. We got Raumon, which is just suspending. Not anything interesting there. Dreammon, which is de-digivolving, which we already know is kind of broken. Really good. Then we got Fakemon, which is Retaliation and Scapegoat as the link effect. Well, Retaliation's what it has natively, and then Scapegoat's the linking. And then, again, just more... It's another control level 5. But the biggest thing is obviously Oranosmon, which has Alliance and the additional link, just like the other god. He is a super rare, not a secret, thank God. And then he just plays out more Digimon by card effects, and we get to link a Digimon for free, so not terrible. But the big appeal is obviously the new Tamer, because this could actually support the old Atmon deck as well as support the new one. So like that's kind of the leverage where I think App's direction is going to go, as I highlighted earlier, where we get the deck's core engine, and then we get to customize the tamers and options. Obviously you're going to be forced to run the main tamer, but the fact that like Haru can go in here is pretty nice and further enhance what the deck's going to do. Same thing with his option as well as Zuka's option. Because Music of the Heart is just another consistency tool and just another free linker. Oh, it's a free linker. Okay. But yeah, Atmon looks pretty good. The only thing I wish this deck had was unsuspending. That's about it, but I mean it's just trying to play Digimon out for free as much as possible, kind of flood and swarm the field and then do interesting things, because then you could use the Digimon on the field to relink or digivolve into new Digimon, and then because of App Fuse, you get to potentially make cheaper evolutions than your average one. So but yeah, apps look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that this time the big boss monster is not a secret rare, so it makes it a little more accessible for players and everything. Although it's still kind of locked more towards the BT22 version of the app instead, because the whole linking effects, sorry, more specific to those cards versus like the old ones.
Which is fine. It just is what it is. Yeah, so that's, for the most part, BT22 in a nutshell. I think the set, it looks very interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on. It doesn't overtly scream anything like being super OP to me, which is fine. Not everything needs to be OP. Things could be strong, competent, and not completely butcher the rest of the game. So we'll have to see like what rises through the ranks, so to speak. I know there's a lot that we still haven't covered when it comes to the set, because there's just a lot going on. Like the fact that Leopardmon Ace exists, and I think that's a huge mistake. Royal Knights really didn't need that support. Then there's the new Kentaros line, so like there's just a lot going on in the set. I don't necessarily think Kentaros is going to be like super playable, which is why I didn't really feel like we needed to talk to him, but yes, he is in the set. He is also a CS card, so again, just deepening the CS toolbox to be able to put all those pieces together to make something really fun and interesting. Because I think like Diaboromon kind of wants to play with Eaters because of Errata, but they don't at the same time. But because Eaters isn't really a full thing, maybe they have to. I don't know. There's just, it just feels like it's a big puzzle that is just prime and waiting to be solved. And I think like that's the fun part for Digimon for me is putting those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, because to me, when I'm looking at this set, it just feels like it's a bigger version of the Adventure starter decks and everything when it comes to the whole CS trade and everything. It's like, I'm not too mad about it, but it just kind of would like it if, like, I'll take Alphamon as an example. Like, Alphamon has so much going on. It's CS trade, it's Royal Knights, but yet you can't play this Alphamon in a Royal Knight deck. I mean, the best thing it has is the on-play of minus 5k, but all of its other effects rely on being practically in the whole CS trade.
I mean, it's got a reboot blocker, like, and the on play is also when attacking not limited to once per turn. So like in your big rush turn, that Alphamon's not terrible. Plus, like in Royal Knights, you reasonably just need the Kyoko because he does have an alternative Digivolution condition to Digivolve off of Kyoko. So it's just another way to be able to get him out instead of like committing to a hard play. So actually, does that work with King Drazel? Hold on, I'm curious.
Because King Drazel, you can't Digivolve during your turn, so it has to be during your opponent's turn.
Oh, so I guess that wouldn't work. Because is it just Digimon? All of your Digimon can't Digivolve, so you could still use your Tamer. So that is another card that bypasses King Drazel.
Does a Tamer say that treat this Digimon or treat this Tamer as a Digimon, or does it not have that text?
I don't think she has that text. Kyoko. During your turn, when this tamer unsuspends, if you don't have an Alphamon tamer, you could Digivolve into it from your hand and reduce the play cost by 2. No, she doesn't have that text because that text is basically that text is basically on the
hybrids.
No, it's on it's on the hybrids, but it's on the Alphamon with the alternative Digivolution condition, not treating the tamer as a Digimon. It's just Digivolving on top of it. So nothing specifically stating that it's treating Kyoko as a Digimon. It's just Digivolving straight up on top of her. So, yes, Alphamon should be able to bypass the Kyoko.
Yeah, so practically Royal Knights just got more support now.
Which they really didn't need. But yeah, so lot of exciting stuff about BT22, even if it's not going to be the most overpowered set by any stretch of the word. There's a lot of good stuff in it, which I think is like where Digimon set design needs to be. Like, make good, fun, strong, and interesting cards that's not power spiking the game. Like, yes, call me crazy, it is possible to make good, fun, strong cards that isn't directly power spiking the game. Like, that's what we need more of. So, essentially, like, if anyone's been watching my channel for a while, they know I haven't necessarily been the happiest with Digimon. So, one of the first things that they could start doing is once they hit the top decks that are doing the most egregiously broken stuff, then that's where this type of good design comes into play, where it's just like, now it's so much more open and everything's interesting and actually on the table because they haven't been power creeping anything overtly. Like, it's just up to raw mechanics as far as like what's actually going to rise to the top, or if it's actually going to be a pretty widespread and open format. So I'm excited to see if they can continue this type of good design and continue going forward with it. I'm not talking EX9 poor design. I mean, it's not poorly designed. It's just weak in comparison. But if they can continue doing more stuff like this and then a good banner restriction update, honestly, the game can be in a fantastic state, and that's the moment that I've been waiting for, probably for the past year and a half.
Yeah,
So
because I mean, obviously, if these sets aren't power creeping what's currently meta and everything, then that means when the meta decks do get hit, then everything is definitely on a more fair playing balance field. Meaning, there should be, theoretically speaking, there should be more decks that become meta now because of that.
yes, exactly. That because like right now where our meta currently is, we have a small handful of tier 1 decks and then a very large tier 2 category. Um but it's literally because the small few tier 1 decks are basically keeping the tier 2 from literally doing anything but being tier 2. With the tier 1 decks gone and we have the wide tier 2, that will reinvigorate a lot of interest in the game because there's a lot more decks that are now suddenly playable because they're not being held back due to the current state of the meta. I mean, some will still probably end up being that way because of matchups, but what can you do? I mean, at least like the tier 1 decks aren't just creaming you all over the place, ruining the fun. Especially if it's the same tier 1 deck for formats on end. So, anything else to round out the episode, Jay Stewart?
Yeah. So, literally as we were recording, like I think right as we started recording, a new trailer for Digimon, a Seal came out. I did a quick look through. It doesn't say a release date or anything like that, but there's some more cutscenes that we see for it. So there's some kind of exciting stuff to look at in that trailer. Also, there is also a deep dive of with the producer for Digimon Time Stranger. So a couple exciting stuff to kind of watch, I guess, for Digimon.
Yeah, so I already looked at that trailer. The only relevant pieces of information that I was able to get that we didn't have before was it looks like packs are going to be 6 cards. So 6 card packs, whatever. It's a digital card game. That's probably normal-ish. Um, and then the other big thing is you could do multiple polls. So if anyone's familiar with like gacha games or other like mobile card games, they allow you to do up to 10 pulls at the same time. So you'll open up 10 packs basically at once and flip through all of the different packs. Looks like that's in here as well. Hopefully one of the big things that I want to see, like not trying to like extend this because we'll probably have more information after Anime Expo about Elysian or Elysian, however you actually pronounce that name.
I think it's the second one you said.
Elysian, yeah, because it's Sion, which is a shun. So, but yeah, so hopefully we'll have a lot more information after Anime Expo when people are actually playing the demos and whatnot, and they're actually planning on talking about it more. It still feels pretty far development-wise, probably at least half a year to a year out, if not more. But progress looks really good. The game seems promising. And I just hope they pull like a Pokemon Pocket where it's 2 free packs a day or like 1 free pack a day at the very worst, like Shadowverse. So I think just something to make players come back outside of grindy daily rewards. So that way it appeals to more of a casual audience. Definitely would be a very good boost for it. But yeah, so thank you for that update. And yeah, so I think that's going to be it for this episode. So thank you everyone for coming out and listening. We appreciate every single one of you because without you, we would just be 2 guys talking on the internet. So thank you all, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Later.